me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Where you may start working on your own body. You may start working on socializing with people. You might vacation more. So I think the industries that work on human experience are going to explode. I think if there's an industry positioned to cater to people wanting to go to park systems and go to special events, I think the Parks and Rec industry is going to do very well in an AI-dominated industry.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, Young Professionals Network edition. Today we're spotlighting the next generation of parks and recreation leaders, students, interns, and young professionals who are stepping into the industry and learning what it truly takes to build community through parks and programs. In this YPN special, we're joined by Michael and Aidyn, two of our very first interns, as they pull back the curtain on what it's like to learn content creation, professional networking, and leadership in real time. From using LinkedIn as a career-building tool to understanding how Parks and Rec shapes quality of life, this conversation is all about growth, mentorship, and opportunity. If you're new to the field or thinking about a future in parks and recreation, this episode is for you. Let's get started.
All right, we are live today. I'd like to introduce everybody to the famous, not soon to be famous, Aidyn from Philadelphia, not out far. Aidyn, why don't you tell everybody a little bit of, well, actually, before we get started, I'm jumping the gun here. Let me go ahead and play a couple of promos. I want to still continue to play the thank you video for getting us past 300. And then I'm also going to play a promo for strategic partners that want to get involved and help us to build the first media company for Parks and Recreation. Our goal is to, you sit in a hotel room and you flip through all the 500 channels and there's a channel for everything. We want to make one for Parks and Recreation. We got Aidyn now. Excuse me, we got Michael.
I'm sorry. We literally just lost power in our house down at school, so I don't have Wi-Fi for my computer, so I'm on my phone.
Oh, perfect. No, that works perfect. We were just introducing the show. We're live, and I was getting ready to play the two promos. And so the two promos I'm going to play, and by the way, these are our two first interns. So congratulations for you guys, for YPN. This has been a big moment for us. Shout out to Thomas White, who's a big supporter of internship programs nationwide and has one of the best internship programs I've ever seen in Parks and Rec. So, but if you're interested and you're a vendor in this industry and would like to get your brand well known and help us to create this media company for the industry of Parks and Rec, the second promo will be all about that. So we'll play these two and then we'll come right back and start our conversation with Aidyn and Michael.
300 episodes. What started as a small idea, a way to share stories from the Parks and Recreation community, has grown into something truly special. From heartfelt conversations to behind-the-scenes stories that celebrate everyday heroes. Every episode, every message, every listen has been powered by you. To our loyal listeners, our partners, and every Parks and Rec professional who continues to inspire us, thank you. You've helped us grow, you've helped us evolve, and you've reminded us why we do this, to tell stories that matter. This milestone isn't just ours, it's yours too. As we celebrate our 300th episode, we look ahead to the next chapter. More stories, more community, more impact. From all of us here at DPRS Media Company, thank you for believing in us, for tuning in, and for helping us make it this far. Here's to the next 300 episodes and beyond. Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
All right, so we are back. Today's show is, I think, going to be the last show we do on Friday. I actually offered with Michael and Aidyn on our Monday call to pick a better time that fits the demographic of the people that we're working with, college students mostly, and young professionals. And so they have selected. You want to go tell them what time and day y'all are thinking about?
We're gonna do a Thursday at 5. 'Cause we think
Thursday.
that would work best.
Yes, that would be good. That's an open time slot for us. That's actually a very hot time too. I think 5 p.m. is the second most viewed news channel on Earth. 5 p.m. Eastern,
Right.
6 p.m. Eastern, and number 2 is 5, and I think number 3 is 7 p.m. So those are like the prime time slots.
Yeah.
And that'll give y'all a little bit time to get through classes and stuff, because they don't have a lot of classes around 5 p.m. I guess they do some, but mostly it's not that time. Huh?
Not that I'm in.
Right. Unless you're taking a night class or something.
Right.
Okay, so this is going to be as much as a classroom for Aidyn and Michael. And as y'all know, that when I build content, I just go live and we build it. Attending some of our shows is almost like going into the kitchen rather than going to a restaurant and sitting where everything's polished and you've got you show your best, but you never go what they call back of house. If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you've got the chaos of the kitchen and, there's just food going everywhere and it's just a bunch of chaos, but then the finished product is all perfect and polished as much as they can be. And so, but I want this show to be a lot about showing y'all how to create content, how to host a show, how to get guests, recruit guests, do pre-show prep calls, how to run the stage, and then even get into the editing component. And then lastly, on distribution. And so we did a lot of talk on our last YPN show on distribution, mainly through LinkedIn. But maybe each of you could kind of say, what was your thoughts around LinkedIn prior to getting in? Was it just zero? You had an old account or maybe did a class on it? And then kind of what have you learned over the last week or so working with me and with DPRS Media Company? Michael, why don't you go first and then Aidyn?
Well, I had a class at school that made me set up a LinkedIn account, and I never thought that I'd be using it as much, honestly. I never looked at it as a social media page or anything like that. It was more something that I thought maybe down the road I'd use. But just this last couple weeks working with you, I've realized how big it is, because I've had recruiters reach out on there about possible jobs in the future, and then just making connections and networking. It's so much easier to do it on there than it is on any other social media.
Yeah, they have a team of some of the brightest people in the world working on those algorithms to drive engagement, because then they call it engagement farming or clickbait, as y'all might know it. And their job is to get as much engagement as possible so that they can go to vendors and say, look at all this engagement from your target market. Will you pay us to come on our site, run your ads? And so each of you are shifting from a consumer, you're basically working for free for the internet companies, training the engagement, onto a builder. And yes, you're going to get tons of job offers from all over the planet about now that you're on the builder side of the community. It's a much smaller group of people that build within this ecosystem versus people that just consume and doom scroll forever. Aidyn, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so I definitely would have to agree with Michael. Sorry, I'm getting used to calling him Michael. I definitely have to agree with Mike because I personally didn't know about LinkedIn until getting into college and having a class, like he said, on it and like building a page. And I think originally they made us like connect with 20 people as like an assignment to start us to get used to the idea of using it. And over the last week, I think I've grown connections by about 100 connections just because you said like start reaching out, start networking, like it's very important. And through that experience alone, just within the last week, I think I've really realized that this is a social media page just like I use any other social media, and it's just more professional based. And as someone who is looking to get into a profession and just get experience, I think it's really important to get to know the network and LinkedIn itself. So
Yeah, and let's start an analogy. Let's just pick let's say sailboating. I used to love to sail with my uncle, and he was a sailboat, I guess, captain. He had his own boat and stuff like that. So I would go ride with him, and I would just kind of sit there, and he asked me to do something, but so imagine you're just a guest on a sailboat, but then maybe Aidyn, you and Mike decide, let's buy a sailboat and run it like a little business. That means one of you is going to have to learn how to sail the boat. The other
Right.
might be in charge of getting guests that will want to book a cruise or something like that. And so when you're shifting into boat ownership, running the boat, and making it a business, it's many skill sets, totally different skill sets. Have you ever been on a sailboat, Aidyn?
no, I have not. My grandfather, he has like a little sailboat, but I've never been on it.
Oh, it's beautiful if you haven't. And so that's kind of what we're teaching y'all is how to sail, how to get people on it, how to cater to the guests, how to get the name out of what it is that you're offering. And it is a lot of different skills. It doesn't take a lot of skill to sit on a boat. It doesn't take a lot of skill to sit on an app and just doom scroll and share and laugh and stuff. It's kind of entertainment value. But now that you're on the builder community side, there's just a lot of tools that you'll have to learn. Now with LinkedIn, we are in the world of influence. And who are you influencing? Well, you're influencing the people you're connected to. And so that's why one of the first lessons is learn to connect. That's the skill you're learning is what are the little, you notice that LinkedIn gives you like 250 words to connect with somebody, and you've got to kind of type a little intro and then maybe they connect with you and stuff. But that's a way for you to do almost like connection farming. And for this show, I want y'all to connect with Parks and Rec professionals and then ask those professionals, is there somebody that's an intern or maybe that you just recently hired fresh out of college, because we have a show just for them. And I'd like to invite them on the show and see if they want to help us build this Thursday, 5 p.m. show. And so the first thing is for you to just work on your own personal brand. So each of you have your own brand that exists online. And obviously it starts with like a headshot. What are your interests and what are the community that you're trying to connect with? And so you might find the first is just like friends and family, but I don't know if any of you do yoga, which I love doing yoga. So I'm always talking about it. Or cold plunges. I love cold plunges and I love saunas. And so a lot of my feed is full of those people. And I noticed that I ended up connecting with a lot of people that hit those. And then of course I got a ton of Parks and Rec contacts. And so it's not just enough for you to connect with just anybody. You want to connect with the people that you have something in common with. And so Parks and Rec, your age group, those are two filters that I'm throwing on top of your connection efforts so that you make sure that once you have a network and you have a product to offer. So let's say you were big into cold plunges and you wanted to maybe start a little cold plunge business where you sell something like the at-home cold plunge stuff. It wouldn't do you any good if you were connected to fishermen because maybe they don't do that. And so you want to be very intentional with who you connect with. And for the purpose of this show, you're being very intentional about connecting with Parks and Rec professionals that are young to the industry or in college studying about the industry. So that's the kind of lessons we'll be learning here. But before we get too far into that, why don't we start with Aidyn? Maybe introduce yourself to the community of Parks and Rec, the world of Parks and Rec. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in school, and maybe a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I am a junior at Temple University, so it's right in Philly, right off of Broad Street. I am both a marketing and risk and insurance dual major at Temple. And so I think from my experience, I've been able to have such a broad range of just the business like world in general. And I think a lot of the foundations classes and just my education at Temple has really opened my eyes to all the different ways I could go. I have had a marketing internship in the past and I really did like it, but I think I'm looking to grow a little bit more within marketing and I think this is a great way to do it. So I'm excited to learn a little more about the digital space here and obviously excited to work with Michael since he's a friend of mine. So
Yeah, fantastic. Michael?
Yeah, I'm a third year senior at Widener University. So I've been able to take extra credits and stuff, which it gives me a little bit heavier of a workload, but I'll be able to get out sooner. I've been able to do multiple different things in my work career so far, from labor jobs to now doing stuff like this in the marketing world. Um, and on the side of Parks and Recs, Aidyn's stepmom, she works for Parks and Rec. So that's me and Aidyn have been doing different volunteer work and stuff for Parks and Rec for, well, Aidyn's probably been doing it longer than I have, but I've been for the last 4.5 years. I've been doing different things, like different volunteer work for the Parks and Recs.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, y'all are going to get a lot of experience here because I'm just throwing y'all into the back kitchen and saying, let's just pick up something. Let's go. Let's start getting work done. Let's start building your skill set. And we'll start right now. I haven't even given y'all any warning on this, but why don't each of you run the stage as if it's your show for 2 questions, similar to how I started. Y'all are my guests on the show, and I asked each of y'all to say a little bit about yourself, and then maybe even ask some follow-on questions about that. I can ask one more question to kind of get it going, and then we'll have Aidyn. What you'll do is you kind of take over, run the stage as if now we're your guests, and you're asking us 2 questions and some follow-on questions. And so you would say, Craig, why don't you go first? Michael, why don't you go next? Michael, tell me a little more about that. Why are you a third year senior? Something along those lines. And then Michael, you can go next. And that way we'll kind of practice, because Thursday, I think y'all are actually running the stage. So I want to give y'all some live chances before that happens. Let me think of one more question I can ask. Something fun. What's the funniest thing y'all have ever seen working in Parks and Rec? Aidyn, I'll let you go first.
Working in Parks and Rec and like volunteering. I don't know what the funniest thing I would have seen. I just know that I have seen a lot of people like the park that we go to or Lower Makefield where my stepmom works. I know we used to go to the pools and stuff there, so it's I don't know. I guess like seeing how people control kids in such an area or like learning like there's a lot of risks and liabilities within that area that they're really just trying to minimize. And I think growing up, you start to realize like, yeah, I was probably one of those kids causing problems, especially going there when I was little. But yeah, I don't really have any like funny, like, I don't know.
No, it's your mom, right? That works in Parks and Rec?
Yeah, so it's one of my parents. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget her name. Monica, that's right. She came on the show. She's an amazing Park and Rec director. I'm really passionate about it. What's it like growing up with a Parks and Rec mom?
We were definitely busy because she was always having events, because she oversaw the whole thing as the director. we'd be going to like the veterans parades or even the ceremonies and helping set up. Or I remember helping paint at the Garden of Reflection that we have in Lower Makefield. And just like simple things like that, you realize how important these areas or these parks are to the community. So I don't know, just growing up with that, I think it was fun. And we did a lot of volunteer work with that as well.
Michael, do you have any exposure to Parks and Rec?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something funny, but I would just say probably similar to Aidyn. I remember the one year we were driving golf carts and taking people from the parking lots to like the pool and stuff. And I'm sure just some of the conversations that you hear from the families as you're driving the golf carts with them in the back definitely had some funny things happen.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Okay, so what I just did was I'm the host of the show. I ask Aidyn a question. I'm looking, as she's saying, for some little thing that I can ask a follow-on question. Tell me a little bit more. And that's a way for you to kind of what they call manage the stage or manage the conversation and looking for ways to deepen the conversation. And so, Michael, why don't you go first? You'll be the guest of the show. You maybe welcome us for coming. Maybe a little small talk, and then ask me and Aidyn 2 questions. Or you can ask one question, we both get to answer it, and then you can kind of see if there's a follow-on question from each of our responses, and then you can ask the second question, and then Aidyn, you can do the same thing afterwards.
All right, so you want me to like start like the podcast is starting right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. I'm Mike Morrow. I'm back with my co-host Aidyn Tierney. And today we have Craig LeBlanc on, as he will be our guest today. To start it off, we've been talking about LinkedIn at a very high rate. So I want to start by asking you guys, how many connections do you guys have on LinkedIn? We could start with Craig.
Oh, good question. Let's see. I think I'm over a couple thousand, like 2,200 connections. And now I did start with, I kind of started like y'all when I was on LinkedIn. A buddy of mine, we were in a hotel room, and he was getting me on X, and he said, "Craig, you really ought to build your LinkedIn profile. There's a great way to network to business people and connect to a community, and so, but you need to get it above 500 because the algorithm treats you a lot better." And within like 2 weeks, I was above 500, but it was just random people. There was no really intention. And then when I started the Daily Parks and Rec show, I was like, let me connect to directors, superintendents, assistant directors, and get them to come on the show and tell their story. And that's when now probably 1,500 of my connections are all within the Parks and Rec community. But anyway, that's my answer to that one.
No, with the 1,500, would you say how many, is that where you get most of the people to come onto your show?
Yeah, so I did give y'all some homework to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. If you haven't listened to him, go find something. And he's always dropping little nuggets. And he said that Facebook has been around for a long time. They're like the big 800-pound gorilla in the social media room. But it's very, very saturated. And there's just the cost to make stuff is high there. But let's just say when TikTok came around, if you were one of the early TikTokers, you could really build very quickly because they were trying to migrate the 2 billion Facebook subscribers over to their new platform of TikTok. And LinkedIn is one of the up and coming Facebooks. They're still much smaller, but they're ready to do business on LinkedIn. And so connecting with them was I guess if I was trying to build a media company for an industry, LinkedIn is where people were there to kind of connect and do business versus Facebook, which is kind of more socialized.
Oh, Aidyn?
So I definitely can't compete with Craig, but I have now grown to 205, I think, connections. And over the last week, I have prioritized like looking into Parks and Rec or people who are in kind of like the youth athletics and stuff like that. So yeah, just 205, but I do want to keep it growing as I've learned it's very important to my networking. So
What's been the easiest way you've been able to figure out like who to connect with? Like, have you been using Craig's different connections, or has it been finding your own?
a little bit of both. I have been going through either Temple or just Craig or Monica's connections to really find people who are in Parks and Rec, and that's just been the easiest way for me so far. I think I have been limited on my amount of searches, so that is going to be my new way to find some people.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you want me to do another one or no?
Yeah. Second
All
question.
right. So then for the second question that we're going to go with, it would be, what other social media platform do you think is the biggest for the Daily Parks and Rec show, if you had to say? We could start with Craig.
I would say Facebook. Facebook has the most Parks and Rec professionals on it, and it's just, I think, 2 billion people on it. It's older. Parks and Rec departments have a Facebook page, and they get the word out about their special events, the programming they offer. It really is almost like a community dashboard for the city. I don't see a lot of cities having an official LinkedIn page. Some of them do, but it's not nearly as active as far as sharing, posting, showing pictures of the special event or the Halloween gathering or the baseball tournament. So that's kind of what LinkedIn's for. What Facebook is for. But LinkedIn is where the individuals, you can communicate one-on-one with them a little bit better. What I'll teach y'all is, just like on LinkedIn, you go into the direct messages, you can go into Facebook Messenger and almost copy paste what you reached out to somebody. And they don't limit as many of the, I think, Aidyn, you've kind of discovered that LinkedIn kind of shuts you off after a while. They give you so many free times you can reach out to people. They want to charge you $100 a month for anything after.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like y'all to continue to use the organic unpaid version of it, because you have to be a little bit smarter on the unpaid, whereas the other ones, you're just kind of buying your way into people's, I guess, inbox.
And then Aidyn?
I kind of have a different perspective on this. I think just being more on like Instagram or TikTok, as much as I think Craig is right, I think LinkedIn or Facebook are very popular for Parks and Rec pages. I have seen Instagram pages for Parks and Rec, and as a young professional and networking host now, I think one of the more important things is to build a community on like an Instagram platform where people my age or our age are going to be interested in like looking on that, or like that's more their speed rather than Facebook. Like I personally, I don't use Facebook. So as a young professional, how am I supposed to learn more about the field itself if I'm not even on there? So I would say hopefully maybe Instagram could grow a little more for that. And obviously TikTok is just advertisements like crazy, but I'd say Instagram is a good platform to start building on.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I've learned from school, it's like being able to figure out your target audience, right? So maybe for the younger professionals network, right, for our show, it would be more using Instagram and stuff like that, where maybe
absolutely.
for the different, like the Bitcoin Daily show that Craig runs, like maybe that would be more Facebook oriented, just figuring out who the target audience is there and then being able to target that.
Yeah, especially if you are trying to reach like our or like a specific age demographic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with both of those. Because if you want to create Bitcoin content, you have to get on X. Like all the Bitcoiners are on X, and it works very differently than all the other ones. And your exposure to Instagram and TikTok show that the short form video, just the virility of a short form video is insane. And Facebook was losing market share at an insane rate, which is why they bought Instagram. And so Instagram was Facebook's response to TikTok, to them bleeding followers to TikTok. And same thing on YouTube Reels. It's the same thing. And now X has this kind of real platform with videos and stuff.
Right.
And notice next to your name, it doesn't say found on LinkedIn. found on Instagram. Like no one knows where you met Aidyn. They don't know if you met each other on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. And so once you learn how to network in any of the platforms, a lot of those lessons will carry over into a lot of these other platforms. And like Aidyn said, you really got, well, both of you said, you really do have to know your target market and know where they're hanging out. And you can find Parks and Rec professionals on all the platforms. I mean, how many what are the platforms you have downloaded on y'all's phones?
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook. See, I don't use X. Maybe I should try to figure that out, but I don't know why. I've just never used it.
Yeah, I use X for sports, and then like Craig was saying, like they have different like stock stuff and that they always talk about on there also that I follow a little bit.
Yeah, X has the least amount of bots on there because they're intentional about deleting those accounts. And so you never know who you're talking to, that it could just be somebody engagement farming or a robot or somebody in a foreign nation that's got like 50 accounts and cell phones all running at the same. Have y'all seen those before?
Yeah.
Like one person working 50 Instagram accounts and trying to build his OnlyFans accounts. Just like a guy with AI generated stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when Elon bought X, it was just the worst. It was riddled with just spam and robots. And he actually went to court saying the numbers X says they have in followers, it's not real. These are not people. It's maybe half of them are real and the rest are just fake scam.
Yeah, that's scary.
Right.
And so he went in with his engineers and found ways to kind of purge the system. And it's an ongoing battle. But I would say X is doing that better than anyone else. And so I love X. I love how it's growing. My biggest push is towards Nostr, which is more of a decentralized platform. And that's kind of one I want to start teaching y'all more and more about. But yeah,
what was that called?
It's called Nostr.
Oh, I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
Yep, that's normal. Unless you're on the cutting edge of I guess the social media play for humanity. The problem we have is that if only a few companies own these centralized platforms, so there's like Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook and Instagram. Who just bought TikTok? I think it was Larry Ellison with Oracle. Musk bought X, and who am I missing? I don't know who owns Snapchat and stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But the problem is, did you know you don't own your content and you don't own your contact list? And if they don't like you, or even if by sheer accident, they can just delete your account and you can spend years building a content library, engagement with your audience. And all of a sudden, all your content gets deleted, all your contacts get deleted, and you got to just start from scratch. And it's brutal. I've had my account deleted by accident on Facebook. So there's this new protocol called Nostr where you actually own the content, you own your you own all of your subscribers, and they cannot shut you down because you own all the hardware, you own all the connection, and one person can still unsubscribe from you, but there is no centralized Facebook headquarters that can just press delete. And so it's very new, but it's definitely the future of all things social media. So that's one thing I want to invest in, but it's very, very new. It's almost like if you built one of the first few websites, it just feels very clunky. It's very techy. You feel like you are really on ground zero. So I certainly don't want to be deleted by accident, all the work that we're doing to build, which is why we actually simultaneously broadcast to all social media platforms. So this show right now is going live on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And that way I don't have as much exposure from one, but I would rather own all of my content. I think that'd be a lot smarter as a a builder to
Definitely.
All right, that was good. All right, Aidyn, you ready? Oh wait, actually this is the halftime show. So the halftime part. So what we'll do is typically when we hit around the 30-minute mark, unless the conversation's going well, if someone's really, cooking, let them cook, let them finish their story. And if it goes, and then as soon as they wrap it up, then you say, okay, well, we're going to take this halftime break. Or let's just say you're getting ready to open up a whole can of worms and start a new segment of the show, and it's at the 28-minute mark. You can go ahead and, click it a little early. But since we're right at 33 minutes, we'll go ahead and play the, let's see. Let's play the promotion for this very show. This is called the Young Professionals Network promo. And then we will promote one of our vendors, which is Palco. They sell LED lights to the Parks and Rec industry. So we'll promote the work that they're doing. And then we'll come right back, and hopefully we'll get Michael and finish up with, let Aidyn take the host for a second.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.
All right. So that's called a promo. That's a promo for the show and a promo for a vendor. I just created a Slack channel called YPN. So if y'all want to go on Slack real quick and you can just respond to it. And this is some homework I'm going to give both of y'all. If you were going to create a promo, you can either do it yourself and figure out the hardware, software, and that kind of stuff, or you can go work with somebody that this is what they do. So on our team, Jovi, she's one of the very talented video editors that create our content and stuff. So just go on that and say, I want y'all to create a 1.5 minute promo for the upcoming Thursday show. Now, this is going to be a lot of back and forth. You'll have to give her themes. She'll create a version 1, and then each of you will have to kind of help dial it in. They'll take this very show because now you've each got your face. So this is recorded. She has access to this after we finish. She has access to this whole 1-hour show that we're creating. And then as you get more and more guests, you can add different headshots of you and your guests. And then you get to determine, well, you can have the time slot changed. So you can say, make sure you put in the new time slot of 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. And then why don't you show some colleges or something like that? You get to kind of help participate in the creative process. And that can be one of y'all's next lessons. Now, it could take like 3 or 4 weeks to get this really dialed in before you get to, say, version 4. She's going to give you version 1, then y'all dial it in with version 2 and back and forth, version 3, version 4. And then we say, okay, it's ready. And then that will be, then I can upload it and show you how to put it on StreamYard. And that can just be one of the commercials that you'll play. But I want y'all to create that start to finish. You can ask for my help, but I really want y'all to do it as much as possible. You can ask for my guidance, but I don't want to like grab the steering wheel from you and say, let me drive your hair. You're terrible at it. The point is for you to learn, not for me to do it for you. So that'll be some of y'all's homework that y'all can do over the next few weeks. All right, Aidyn.
Go
ahead.
Sorry. Another thing me and Aidyn talked about, possibly, if you were okay with it, was starting a YPN LinkedIn, which we could connect with people on too, because then we figured it would help out like the next wave of interns that come in, like, because then they already have like a base, you know what I mean, on LinkedIn that they could target different people to come on and do the show and stuff. If that was okay with you.
Yeah. And so the way me and a lot of other entrepreneurs work is I don't want to hold y'all's creative capacity back by you constantly having to ask permission. Take, if you have an idea, just take it and run with it and present an idea to the team. And I'm going to let y'all kind of run as much as y'all want to with anything that y'all have an idea for. I think that's a great idea. And you can maybe just use me as someone that's been doing it longer to get feedback. So you're coming to me for feedback from an idea, not necessarily for Craig's like a micromanager and we got to, everything's, he's pretty much God over here. Like that's a good way to shut the creative brain power off. But yeah, that's a great idea. I think y'all should absolutely do that. And I can help y'all, I guess, start the account with all the proper tools and stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, y'all can take it from there. Good idea. All right, Aidyn, you ready?
Yep.
Your show.
All right, welcome back to this podcast for Young Professionals Network. Today I'm with my co-host Michael, as well as our guest Craig. And today we're just going to be diving into a few little topics, but I want to start off by asking Craig, and Michael, I suppose, but starting with Craig, what are some things about Bitcoin that, as you've learned over the years of studying, that you wish you knew sooner as someone who's new?
Oh my gosh, Aidyn, this is a dangerous question. I am very passionate about Bitcoin. I've spoken about Bitcoin for thousands of hours. And as everyone knows on this channel, I'm a massive Bitcoiner, and I believe it's going to help set humanity free. And that's a big statement. Some people kind of look at you like you're crazy when you're like, what do you mean set humanity free? Right now, you don't have the ability to own anything. There is always some authority that you're sitting around. So let's say you want to just own a piece of land. There's a county under every piece of land that manages the ownership component. And at any moment, if you don't pay your taxes or if you maybe break a rule or something, they can actually take that land from you. And so this got so bad, say in the 1700s, and really throughout all human history, that people got so tired of living on the king's land, because at any time, if you fall out of favor with the king, maybe you were good friends with his dad, but the son is a tyrant. They just take all your land, kick you off of it, and now you're starving again, no matter how many generations you've been on that land. And so when the founding fathers started this country, they said, we're going to be a people of that rule ourselves, and we're going to create a group of rules that we get to live by. And one of the rules is you have the right to own your own property, and no one can take your property from you. And that was a massive sales pitch that Benjamin Franklin was able to go out into the world, and Thomas Jefferson, and say, come to America. We don't have kings, and you can own your own land. You can build your own businesses, and it's the land of opportunity. And so that's what built America, was property rights. And over the last 250 years, those property rights have just been pummeled to almost now. When you own a piece of land or property, you're in business with the local city, with the state, with the federal government, and your property rights are still really good in America, but nowhere near they were in 1776, where you could go west and it was just yours. Fast forward to the 2008 housing crisis, where we all just lost our homes, lost our stocks, lost everything. That's where Bitcoin was born, out of that environment of people just wanting to own something. And so you could say, what's something that cannot be taken from you? And it would be, let's say you each write a song in your head. How does someone take that song out of your head? It's just a thought. It resides in your mind. And someone could say, give me that song. Well, even if you give them the actual words of the song's still in your brain. There's no way for them to extract it from your mind. Not yet, at least, maybe when Neuralink and who knows with AI, but at least today, your thoughts are your own. And I would say your thoughts are something that you can absolutely own. And so Bitcoin being code, if you can memorize 12 words through cryptography, you can actually own keys that you could memorize, and they could never be taken from you, and no one can find a way to reverse engineer the key and find out what those keys are and get access to your digital property. And so Bitcoin, I'd say the base layer is just digital property that each of you could own by memorizing 12 words, and you can go into any nation, 3,000 exchanges globally, and exchange for goods and services and change it over instantly on a weekend for any local currency. And so it's such a powerful mechanism for people to have true freedom of ownership and freedom of property rights. Now, this might not be important for you living in America because there's banks on every corner and we have pretty good property rights. But for 61 or 63 dollarized nations, that's government is so terrible. They can't even stand up a currency without it being destroyed just within a few years. And I have personal friends that live through Venezuela that their property just got destroyed by their currency just having hyperinflation. For those people, Bitcoin is a necessity. So there's 4 billion people globally that are unbanked, don't have a stable currency, and they're dying for digital dollars, which is why the stable coins are exploding so much. And so in an effort to just really wanting to participate in building the new digital America like we did in 1776, Bitcoin is, in my opinion, one of the most American property rights things that has ever been invented. And now we can issue, you can buy Bitcoin and do business and exchange goods and services globally 24/7 for pennies. So right now I could send $1 million to someone in Zimbabwe on a Saturday night, and in 10 minutes we do final settlement, which is just vastly superior to our current modern banking system. So I could go on for hours and hours, but any other follow-on questions on that?
Well, so because it's decentralized from the bank and all, like, even though it's protected through like the blockchains and like the different hash like codes and stuff like that, does it ever make you nervous, or like, I don't know, do you get nervous having that kind of like money or like currency like in your hands? Does that make sense?
Yes. That's a great question and it's one of the many first questions that someone unfamiliar with it asks. And that's called operational security.
Mm-hmm.
And so operational security from a bank, let's say each of you owned a little one location bank on the corner. And it was just called the Bank of Aidyn and the Bank of Michael, and you're all across the street from one another.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to put at least a lockable door on that bank if you've got gold in it at a minimum?
Right.
And then the more gold that you have, maybe it's your gold and all of your customers' gold in your bank vault, you might even consider putting some security cameras and some alarms that will notify the police when somebody's trying to break in. So you've increased your security. Step one was maybe, let's buy a bank vault, Michael. Why don't we even go in on a bank vault? We'll put it at your place, and that way we don't both have to, because we're across the street from one another. And
Right.
then you're like, why don't we split a security guard that sits in a cop car right in the street, and he can kind of keep an eye on both of our doors. So now you've increased your operational security. And then let's put, it's kind of place is dingy. Let's put some lights on the place so that we've got to see things. And then how about some closed circuit cameras that records everything? So even if we do get broken in, maybe see who did it and where they went, maybe catch their license plate. So banks, anybody, when you're storing something of value, you want to secure it. And the operation of how you do that can be bank vault doors, lighting, cameras, maybe even security guard, or you hire a third party to just make sure somebody has a security guard there present at all times. And so now put yourself as a person. Let's say you bought gold and you don't trust yourself to hold it because you leave your home and go on vacations, and you're not going to hire a security guard to come sit while you're on vacation at the beach. So yes, you do have to learn to secure your value, but you can secure $1 billion of Bitcoin with a cheap $60 unbreakable, unhackable hardware wallet and stamp the words into steel. And then you can make several copies of this stainless steel words and bury them in your grandma's backyard and give one to Michael. And that way, even if you lose it, you still have the code to access it. But you don't have to do that at a bank. They have insurance, they'll have the security guard, and they promise you that everything's going to be safe. We'll never steal your money, but we're going to charge you fees for all that kind of stuff. And if you really want to get your gold out on a Saturday, well, we're only open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, so you don't have access. And we're not going to allow you to send money to China because maybe we're at war with China, or it doesn't matter if your grandma lives in China. And they're like, look, I'm not trying to fund the Chinese government. I'm trying to send grandma some money. And so there's a lot of problems that come with allowing other people to run your operational security for you, especially if the security guards are in cahoots with the thieves. Like, what if they just decide to get a flat tire on the way to work and nobody's there, and then later on they settle up and split the gold? And so yes, there are some risks to you losing your passwords, or maybe just on a technical error, you lose your Bitcoin. But with Bitcoin, you can store your Bitcoin in like 20 different wallets. And so even if you lose one wallet, you got 19 others. And so you can kind of spread out your wealth, not put all your eggs in one basket. But it does require you to understand proper operational security.
Okay. I only asked because I had been taking I currently am taking a management information system class. And so we did talk about like crypto, Bitcoin, like just currencies like that, and like the blockchains and the hash and just like the transactions that it's storing and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I do ask, because I have heard a little bit about it, but hearing stuff like that, like it does make more sense. Like it is a risk, but you have all these options on like your own options, you know?
Yeah.
Morrow or Michael, is there anything that you do know about Bitcoin? And if not, like what do you want to learn about it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know much about it. If anything, I really have no idea about it. I have stocks, but that's like I don't think that's close to what Bitcoin is. But I just want to learn as much as I can from Craig, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I know he knows so much about it, and from hearing his story and everything, I just have a lot of faith in him that he knows enough about Bitcoin that I can trust him.
Yeah, I would recommend this to each of you. This is a Bitcoin mantra among the Bitcoin community: trust but verify. That you got to be careful when you trust someone saying that they're going to help you protect your gold, especially when there are tools that you can safely protect your own gold at a very minimal cost. So just the cost of a few YouTube videos that explain you how to hold your own wealth in storage safely, you become a formidable force to be reckoned with because of your knowledge. Now, it doesn't mean any professor can't teach you how algebra works, but at some point, if you're going to build a bridge on your own, you need to learn how to do load calculations and work the math yourself. Now you got to be very careful with because there's basically Bitcoin is one of one, and then there's all these other ones that claim that they have crypto and blockchain and we're just like Bitcoin. It's all mostly lies. There is only one major decentralized network that actually empowers you and doesn't have some centralized group of men that own or that started that blockchain or that started that crypto like Solana or something, that isn't going to create a backdoor for some government to come in and take all your Solana or take all your Cardano stuff. But with Bitcoin, there's no centralized people. It's just like an internet protocol that's running online. Anybody can use it, and you can opt in and opt out, and you don't have to worry about somebody creating a backdoor that can come steal everything through some cryptographic backdoor that they left open.
Gotcha. So then turning away from Bitcoin, although very interesting, I did want to ask about where you see Parks and Rec or even this platform in the next 5 to 10 years. Like, where do you hope to be?
Yeah, so Gary Vee taught me this, just a little nugget he dropped, and he said that social media is I don't want to say it's dying, but the age of social media is moving on. And now we've moved to what's called interest media, which is what are you interested in? Who are you interested in? And whereas before it was a vast amount of money that took to build, say, the CNN headquarters in Atlanta or ESPN, but now content creators like us can work together and create a massive platform that caters to a singular industry like Parks and Rec. And I noticed when I was in Bitcoin that there were many content creators creating companies and channels and podcasts all about Bitcoin, but there was no one doing this for the Parks and Rec community. And in light of what Gary said, that if you can create something valuable to an entire industry, and especially if no one's doing it, like in Parks and Rec, then you can basically gather a circle of wagons around everyone that's interested in Parks and Rec and bring value to them digitally, similar to how ESPN brought value to all sports enthusiasts globally and was able to highlight the basketball, both in college and professional, but then also have a show on football, college and professional, and soccer. And so my goal is to build something as robust as ESPN or the Cooking Channel, but all for Parks and Recreation, and really unite the community and get their message out. Because I think Parks and Rec is one of the greatest untold stories in humanity, especially in America. And y'all might not know this. I learned this by making this channel, that a lot of other countries don't have Parks and Rec. They just don't have the wealth in their country and in their states and cities. And so they don't have $50 million to give the Parks and Rec department to go build aquatic centers and put on special events and stuff. And so they do a lot of great work, and it's really is unsung heroes. And I think that they have a beautiful culture that I'd love to create a channel for. So that's kind of where I see it in the next 5 or 10 years. And actually, we are the only ones in America that's even attempting to do this right now. There are a few podcasters that create really good content, and I know a lot of them. And we're actually helping to create their content and distribute it. So we're super early to this. We're the only ones even attempting to do it. And I think in 5 or 10 years, you're going to see in a hotel room that you can get on the Parks and Rec channel. And y'all are helping to build that from ground zero.
Before, because I know you were interested in doing that for Bitcoin, then you realized like there are other people doing it. You wanted to do something different. Before deciding to go like the Parks and Rec route, was there ever another like niche industry that you were like looking into or had a little bit of interest in?
Yeah, so in a world of AI and robotics, it's kind of like, let's say we all three owned something to do with the horse industry. And so maybe Michael raised horses and you were a veterinarian, and I made the little buggies that the horses would pull. So we all have our own business, and so we're all friends. And then we're all sitting there doing our thing. You know, you're working on a horse, Michael's raising a horse, and I'm working on the next buggy I'm going to sell. And then we see this car come by, and we have an option. We can say, that's never going to replace the horse. It's been here for 10,000 years. Or we can say, oh my gosh, we need to get out of the horse business. And so that's kind of where I said, what was your original question? I had a point with that.
Was there something that you were looking
Oh, yeah.
into before Parks and Rec?
Yes. And so with AI coming on the scene, a lot of industries are going to go the way of the horse industry, of Blockbuster when Netflix came around, of Kodak camera when the digital camera leaped into the iPhone. Those industries, there's no one really developing film. That you can still get film developed. You can still get a horse for, pleasure riding, but Amazon's not using horses to bring product across
Right.
the world. It's 18 wheelers, diesel trucks, that kind of thing, massive trailers, the road systems. And so you really need to look at where the puck is going. There's an old phrase by the greatest hockey player ever called Wayne Gretzky. And they asked him, how is he always so successful? And he says, because I skate to where the puck's going to be, not where it is. And so you need to look at what industries survive AI. And one of the industries that I think is going to do well is quality of life industries, like yoga studios, like
Hmm.
cold plunges, like what do you do on your time off? And so coffee houses, um, MMA gyms, where people are doing things where they want personal interaction, they want a massage, they want to socialize in person, I think are going to do very well as AI and robotics start to centralize all the other industries. And so I actually am looking at helping to kind of free man's mind and do more meditative practices. And so I follow somebody called Michael Singer that actually teaches you to live in the moment right now and stop stressing so much about the past and the future. And I think people are going to have a lot more time to work on themselves as you don't need to work with your hands as much with generating wealth. Because as I show y'all how to work with Bitcoin, what you'll find is that you don't have to work as hard because you're holding sound money. So what happens when each of you, in a way, kind of win the lottery? What are you going to do with your time? Well, you may start working on your own body. You may start working on socializing with people. You might vacation more. So I think the industries that work on human experience are going to explode. And I think if there's an industry positioned to cater to people wanting to go to park systems and go to special events, I think the Parks and Rec industry is going to do very well in an AI dominated industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never looked at it that way, so that's a very good insight to have. I feel like that is a very reasonable explanation, especially for AI being so not important, but so prevalent today. So that was really nice to hear. Michael, sorry, I'm never gonna get used to it. I'm never gonna get used to it.
So what do you call Mike? What's Mike? Is it Mike or Mark or what?
So around home, like majority of people call him Morrow by his last name.
Ah,
I call him Mar, like just short and sweet. So I'm just trying to get used to using Michael or Mike.
yeah.
So I will get there. I promise. I
You
will.
can use whatever, Michael, whatever you want us to call us. You're building your online personality, and sometimes you want to keep that private, just for family and stuff. But sometimes it's neat to just have a nickname that everybody calls you by. But that's your call completely.
Yeah.
Michael, so as someone who's new to this page specifically, or even this industry specifically, within our term as interns here, where do you hope to be by the end of it?
Well, I think in the YPN network view, I just want to be able to get it out to as many young people as I possibly can, because I know that like here Widener, like I have no idea what classes I would take if I wanted to go into the Parks and Rec world.
Yeah,
so I mean,
absolutely.
I think that that's part of this show that we're going to be putting on, is trying to get it in front of young people who want to go into the Parks and Rec. And I personally, as a college student, have no idea where to even start if I wanted to go to college for going into Parks and Rec. So I think being able to get that idea out as much as I possibly can within our weekly show, I think that's probably my biggest goal before I'm done with the internship. And then myself, I personally just want to learn as much as I can, because I think we talk about it sometimes, like you can learn as much as you want in school, but you don't really. I feel like I learn better by learning hands-on, and this is like the hands-on learning that I need, and I think that that's just really positive. So I think that's where I hope to get to,
Yeah.
just continue to learn.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm definitely more of a hands-on visual kind of learner. So I think that's important too. I personally, even in my own career path, like in marketing and risk and insurance, I had no idea what risk and insurance technically was until going to school. And so even though we're both not majoring in parks and rec, even I wouldn't even know how to find that, because I know in business, at like the business classes that I take, that's not one of the courses. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Exactly.
So it is something that would definitely require being pushed a little more and having a little more effort. So I think you're totally right. Getting the message out that this is an industry that's going to be huge for young people coming in and definitely available to young people coming in, I think is a good goal to have for the Young Professionals Network.
Yeah, I think also just like the one commercial that we play on here, it like shows how like it's a necessity in life these days. Like people overlook it, like when you think of like the police and stuff and like the firefighters and all that, but it's also like a necessity. So I think being able to show that to young people also is like an important thing too, because I never looked at it that way until I watched that commercial, honestly, and then I realized like how big, like even like in my life, just playing baseball every weekend, like that was like how I grew up, and that's how I found happiness and everything. So it was like being able to show that it is bigger than people realize.
And I think that really connects to what Craig had just been saying about like it's a growing industry. Like people are going to come to realize like these like more so human interactions or events or like things like that away from the phones, but still using AI, I think is going to become really popular over the next few years.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Aidyn, don't tell your professor I said this. Of course, it's not like this isn't recorded or live. I don't think risk assessors and insurance in general survive. I think that the concept of protecting property, Bitcoin undermines because it does it so much more efficiently. And when you're protecting real hard assets like land, because you're let's say you're a doctor and you don't know where to put your money and you've got a little in the stocks and you've got a little somewhere else, but you're really just looking for ROI, and you're looking to a cost of owning property is insurance. But as the investors start to see Bitcoin for what it is, as the most efficient way to protect property, and there's no insurance burden or cost, then that basically sucks all the investors out of non-Bitcoin property. And so that's something that I think the insurance company is going to have to wrestle with, that they're going to go the way of like Blockbuster Video or, the horse industry. And I don't think they see it coming. This is kind of one of those things where you want to skate where the puck is, and then AI is going to be able to replace human risk assessors, risk adjusters so much more efficiently and measure risk and stuff. But it's so new. So I would caution people getting into an industry that AIs should disrupt, and whatever's left, a lot of the people trying to protect wealth are going to shift away from a $250 trillion global real estate asset portfolio that's going to slowly start migrating over to property protection in the digital form of Bitcoin.
I do have to kindly disagree. I find that like the decision making, AI can take it over. AI is always going to try to implement the lowest cost option. And I don't think it's going to, like, a computer is not going to know how the human is thinking. Like, a part of risk assessment that you have to, like, implement is human. What is it?
It's more
like,
intuitive.
Yeah, it's like I'd come up with an example if I had one, but I don't have one off the top of my head. But I do think like the human interaction is going to be important. Like human emotion is going to be important when making these risk assessments, because a computer is not gonna care necessarily about this person or that, or like who was right and who was wrong. It's just gonna look at the facts. And so I actually went into this major specifically because of that, because I don't think it will be eliminated, or at least not as much as I think you're saying. But yeah.
Yeah, so I love the pushback and disagreement, and the reason I want to highlight it is because it's important for you to hold two conflicting ideas in your head
Mhm.
and not pick a side. That you are just the assessor of truth, and you don't want to weight your opinion or your mom's opinion or my opinion one way or the other. You want to be able to assess truth on your own, and
Mhm.
then you form an opinion kind of based off of what you know, what you've been told, what you can kind of assess. But then you don't want to stop there. You want your truth assessment to be a living, breathing that can take in real-time data information so that whether I'm right or you're right, you can check back and maybe assess the market every month. And then you can kind of see what's actually happening. So I might say, hey, I think the puck's going that way. And
Mhm.
you say, nope, I think it's going this way. And let's say we totally differ. But then what we want to do is actually watch the puck and see where it actually goes.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of say, oh, you know what? Or I can say, you know what? She was right. It did go that way. I'm not sure why, but there it goes. And I don't want to be so entrenched into my belief that it's going left while
Yeah.
I'm watching it go right. And so always have that ability to make sure that's a healthy part of your mind to be able to take in input, even if it disagrees with you, and
Mhm.
then go back and measure and measure and measure and assess. That way, because I can promise you this, we're both wrong. It's just a matter of how wrong.
Yeah.
You might be 20% more right than me, but you have 80% wrong, and I was 92% wrong, and so I have 8% right. And so the goal is to just try to be less wrong and measure constantly. So never lose that ability to disagree, but also don't lose your ability to hold conflicting opinions. It's called contrarian beliefs in your
Mhm.
mind as well. Even though you can't quite see why it's right or wrong, but you just gut feeling tells you it is, but always push back against yourself with real-time data. So anyway, just want to throw that out there. All right. Well, man, we just blew past the 1 hour mark. I guess we can go ahead and close the show then. Y'all did great. Fantastic job. And so Thursday, maybe tell people who's coming on the show and do y'all have any ideas on topics?
So we will hopefully have, we just have to do some confirmation with them. We will hopefully have, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up.
It's a big group.
Yeah, it would be Angel Cornista, Jaden McCone, Lindsay McCone, and Alan Sanders, and they are from the city of Alpharetta's team. So they work in the industry, and I think Angel Cornista has been on your show,
Mhm.
I think at the convention or where you had just been. So having her come back and just talking with us will hopefully be a little different, but then also having her team join as well should have some good conversation, I think.
Fantastic. And just remember, right now you're just trying to get your second and third show under your belt.
Mhm.
And you don't need a perfect show. You don't need the perfect guests. You don't need to have zero mistakes. You just need to have you just need to do your third show. That's the only thing you're mining for. You're working hard to get the third show. And actually you're working hard to get the 20th show. And you're going to learn with every show, oh, this is how you host, this is how you handle when people over talk, this is how you work the software stuff. And there's no way to get that without just doing the reps and getting the expertise that only experience can give you. So y'all are going to do great.
Thank you.
Michael, you have any closing remarks?
No, I think I'm all good.
All right, so we'll go ahead and end it by playing the Youth Sports Mastery Show. We'll promote that show with my host, Aaron Locks, with the National Academy of Athletics. Great company. He's one of our early sponsors, but he's also one of the biggest authorities in America on youth sports. And then we'll play our outro video, which again just shows vendors how they can participate. So thank y'all for attending the YPN show. Don't forget, it's next Thursday. From now on, Thursdays, 5 p.m. and with our super talented interns and guests, Aidyn and Michael. Appreciate y'all coming on the show today. And y'all hang on backstage, and I want to show y'all how to work StreamYard and stuff and give y'all access to all of that. But see y'all again next Thursday. Take care. Bye.
When we talk about essential services,
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of Parks and Recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.